So today we are going to be doing our October native plant tour. We've done tours from about April, and we're going to be doing them into maybe November, maybe even December, show you some of the winter interest. So you may want to consider subscribing. We will get right to it. We have plants that we have focused on this year, and then I'll be giving you a sneak peek of what we're going to be focusing on next year as well. So thanks so much for watching. Here's our obedient plant. The leaves are looking nice and green still, and all of the little seed pods are starting to dry out. You can see some here that are all dried out already, and then we have others that are still kind of green, and there's even a few blossoms back there. So I might snip off some of them as the season progresses when they're all ready, like this one here, this dried one here. And then that way I can share them with friends as I go. And then I'll wait for these other ones to go brown and crispy before deadheading these off. And then if you leave any, then the seeds might fall, and then you'll have more obedient plant growing in this area. And then some of the birds might eat them as well. So we'll just do a little bit of it all. Here we have our Foamflower. Nothing too much has changed since last time. We have a little bit of fall colors coming on the leaves, but still looking nice and green, and hoping that it'll stay like this for a while still. Here's our New England Aster. You can see we've got lots of blooms that have already spent, and now we've got some more still blooming. This one over here I just think is just the cutest. For a plant that I wasn't sure if it was going to bloom this year, it has a ton of blooms, and then hopefully it'll spread via rhizomes in the ground, maybe even by seed as well. Here we have our butterfly weed. You can see there's lots of seed pods formed, and they're not quite ready yet. We're going to wait another couple weeks, I think. They need to get a little bit more brown, and then they'll crack, they'll get dried up, crack open, and then all the little seeds will want to escape with the pretty little fluffs that they have. So that's what we're waiting for if you want to harvest them, or you could just leave them be and then see where they create new plants on their own. Here is the smooth aster. It looks like it's about done blooming for this year. There might be another little bloom right in here. We will see if this little guy wants to come. I don't see many seeds forming here, but fingers crossed we do get some seeds, and then fingers crossed the plant does even better underneath and spreads via roots and rhizomes, etc. And we'll have more smooth aster here next year. Here's the blanket flower that we transplanted midway through the summer. It's still holding on, looking great. It's got a bloom. I had a whole bunch of stalks that had already gone to seed, and they had all dried up. So we cleaned that up, and I'll show you a couple other blanket flowers that are in other parts of the garden. Here's another blanket flower that I think came from our wildflower seed mix, because I got a bunch of wildflowers here. Unfortunately, most of them are not native to Ontario, which is frankly annoying, but we did get a blanket flower in there, so happy to have this guy who's new to us. And this is in another boulevard garden, which is why you can hear all the cars going by. So here's the Beebalm. It is super not looking happy. I don't even know if you can even see it, but if there's a couple sticks there, the leaves have all gone. These leaves are starting to go as well. And then you can see there was a little seed head there that is now upside down, and hopefully it just dropped its seeds, and then this can flourish more in this area in the garden. And as I said in previous videos, we're going to give it a little bit more space. We're going to move some of the obedient plant here into another spot, and then move this sedum out of its way as well, because I do want to have lots of nice Beebalm in this area of the garden. So I just finished doing my video, my native plant garden tour for October, and as I said, I wanted to make some room for this Beebalm here, which is this pretty much scraggly little bunch of stalks right here. And look what I find. I found a whole bunch of tiny baby Beebalm. So these plants have been sending out these shoots, and now we've got all sorts of Beebalm that is going to be making its home in this little part of the garden. So I'm really excited to see all sorts of Scarlet Beebalm in the garden next year. Just thought I'd show you guys because I was pretty pumped about it. Okay, now for our sneak peek. So these are all new plants to me that I've planted this year that we're going to be showing you throughout the whole growing season next year as well. So we'll show you right from the start of spring all the way into the winter, just like this series as well. So please consider subscribing to see that next spring. Here's our wild Columbine, new to us this year. We'll see how it does next year. I'm thinking it's going to be pretty good. It's pretty happy already, so far so good. We've got some new Prairie Smoke in the boulevard garden, and it is doing great. It's probably doubled in size since we planted it in the early part of the summer. Here Here we have some Cardinal Flower that is also in the Boulevard garden. So this plant actually needs a little bit more water than it's going to like here. So I might have to pay special attention to it, but we'll see. We'll see how it does. We might have to move it over time. It's hard to tell right now, but this is Lanceleaf Coreopsis. It's a nice bright yellow, like a daisy looking kind of flower. This was planted for the first time this year, and so no blooms yet, but hopefully next year. Here we have some evening primrose that I got from a neighbor. So all of the stalks have kind of died down, but there's lots of new growth. So again, looking forward to seeing what this turns into next year. So here we have our wild bergamot. So this is the bergamot that has light lavender type blooms. They're so pretty, and it will be a little bit different than the Scarlet Beebalm that we have in the other part of our garden. Here we have our prickly pear cactus. So this is like the only cactus that is native to Ontario. So this little guy, I've got one growing in the rock here and then one growing in the ground. So we'll see how they do over the winter, but apparently they will survive, and they might even bloom next year too. So here in the shadier part of our garden, we've got some Canada anemone growing. We've got some Solomon seal back here, and then we've got a new fern that I transplanted in the back as well. So all new to the garden this year. We'll see how they survive over the winter and see what comes back in the spring. And these guys are over by our trillium as well. Here we have the start of a little great blue Lobelia, and this guy didn't even come close to blooming this year, but that's okay. We just got him as a tiny plant, and he likes more of a wetter soil. So this year was pretty wet, not to worry, but next year we're just gonna have to keep an eye on it. If it starts looking pretty dry, then it might not fit with our suburban landscape here. It's not too wet here, so I really don't want to baby the plant, so hopefully he can survive on his own. This is our pussy willow plant. I actually propagated this plant from a cutting that I bought at the side of the road, so pretty excited that it's doing so well, and I put together a little video about that, so I'll be posting that soon. Stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found the video helpful and interesting. We've got lots of native plants that are growing right now, and so many new ones that we're going to be looking forward to seeing how they develop in the next growing season. So please, again, consider subscribing, give it a like if you like this video, and thank you so much for watching.